Part 45. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 441. Zhang Xinyuan was surprised after hearing Mu Zi's words. She fixedly looked at Mu Zi with an uneasy expression. Don't worry, it's fine. Mu Zi didn't explain too much, but gently squeezed Zhang Xinyuan's hand comfortingly. Zhang Xinyuan settled down. She found her mother in the crowd, and walked over a few steps to whisper to Jiang's mother. Mother Zhang listened intently, her eyes widened slightly, as if she couldn't believe it. She asked uncertainly, Zizi really said that? Mom, if Zizi says yes, she will, Zhang Xinyuan said. Mother Zhang looked dignified, and nodded lightly, that's fine, it's important to save people now. Mother Zhang walked up to Fu Chajun and persuaded, Madam Fu, no matter how fast the rescue team is, it will take at least 20 minutes to arrive. This ice floe is not strong. If it continues to crack, or the child wakes up and struggles a few times, it is likely to fall into the lake. We can't wait any longer, we must find a way to save people immediately. Fu Chajun was at a loss. She tried her best to calm herself down and tried her best to think of how to save the child, but her brain was buzzing and she couldn't think properly. Mu Zening looked solemn, and tentatively said, I let the security guards with good water skills crawl over, use a net, or a hook to hook the child over. Nets, hooks, can these things be found within a few minutes? Mother Zhang asked. Mu Zening is a little uncertain. The Mu family has no shortage of luxury cars and famous paintings, but these special tools may not be found in a while. Also, even if we can find it, if the security guards pass by and the ice shakes and the child falls. Mother Zhang sighed and said, I have an idea that is safe, but I don't know Mrs. Fu, so I agree with you or not. What can you do? Fu Chajun seemed to be grasping at straws, staring at Jiang's mother with wide eyes. Mrs. Zhang, what can you do? I agree. As long as I can save the child, I agree to anything. The others also looked at Mother Zhang, wondering what else could be done in such a critical situation. It's definitely dangerous for people to walk on such an ice layer, but if it's a snake, there shouldn't be any problem. If you don't mind, in fact, you can ask Ms. Mu to help her call a pet snake to bring the child back, Zhang mother said. There was an obvious sound of breathing in the crowd. Let the boa constrictor save people, this idea is too appalling. Mu Zi also expected that everyone would have such a reaction, so she didn't say this in person, but asked Jiang's mother to pass it on. In the same way, if Mu Zi were to say it, people would only think it was a child's whimsy, just like every dog owner would tell others how smart and human his dog is, but in fact it may not be true. However, Mother Zhang, as a well-known professor and a scholar, is very respected by people, and what she says, even if it is unbelievable, will make people somewhat convincing. It's just that the matter is so important that no one dares to make a decision. Mrs. Fu was even more anxious, not as decisive as she used to be. Time passed silently, and everyone looked at each other in blank dismay. At this moment, Mu Rongxian coughed uncomfortably, and said, Mrs. Zhang, I think, we'd better wait for the rescue team. They are professionals, so it's safer. Mu Yun also echoed, yeah, how can this python save people? That thing is a cold-blooded creature without wisdom. What if it hurts Mrs. Fu's baby? At the critical moment, the father and daughter retreated. They managed to get the Mu family out of this incident. How could they let Mu Zi get involved again? What if the python bites the baby or throws the baby into the water? Who will bear the consequences? It's better to wait for rescue honestly. Ah! The ice is cracking again. It's about to sink, someone exclaimed again. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 442. The words of Mu Rongxian and Mu Yun, not only did not make Fuchajun back down, but became a driving force, making her want to give it a try. Because the father and daughter obviously wanted to distance themselves, they didn't care about the child's life or death at all. Mother Zhang was really worried about the child, so she took the risk of taking responsibility and made such a bold suggestion. It's wet and cold on the ice, how long can her baby last? Even if the rescue team comes, the implementation of the rescue requires a deployment plan, but time is urgent. At this time, someone shouted that the ice layer was cracked again, and Fuchajun's heart was already in his throat. She can't wait any longer. Miss Mew. Can your snake really save people? Fuchajun looked at Mu Ziyi eagerly, his red eyes were blazing. Yes, Mu Ziyi's voice was soft, like bubbling cool spring water, soothing Fuchajun's anxious heart. Even if you can bring your little baby to a thicker ice layer, it would be good to buy a little more time for rescue. Instead of boasting, she increased her convincing power. Mu Zening said, indeed, if the snake can bring the child closer, it will be convenient for us to rescue it. The difficulty now is that the ice layer is too thin, and the closer to the center of the lake, the thinner it becomes. If the child can get closer to the shore, maybe someone can be sent to rescue the child. After Madame Fu made up her mind, Mu Ziyi no longer hesitated, and walked back to Xiaoanglu together with Zhuangqie. Children are too dangerous on the ice, and now they have to race against time. But for a moment, first a vigorous black hunting dog sprang out from the door. Everyone couldn't help but take a few steps back, followed by Zhuangqie, then Mu Ziyi, and behind Mu Ziyi, a large piebald boa constrictor crawled meanderingly. People gasped. This snake is too big. Swallowing a baby in one gulp is not a problem at all. Is it really necessary to ask the snake to save people? Those who were originally curious-minded began to question this decision, and even hesitated to speak out to stop this ridiculous rescue. The boa constrictor was afraid of the cold and lingered at the door, unwilling to go out. Mu Ziyi patted its head, coaxed it softly, held an unknown object in her hand to lure it, and the python followed her and slid out. Although Ceci was lazy, the crawling speed of the python itself was actually not slow. Under Muse's purposeful inducement, Ceci quickly came to the lake, but when his body touched the ice, he obviously resisted. Just when people thought that the boa constrictor was about to lose its chain at a critical moment, the crow on Mu Ziyi's shoulder jumped down. Just now everyone's attention was on the boa constrictor on the ground, but no one noticed Xiao Yat. The IQ of a crow can be as high as that of a 7-year-old child, and Xiaoao is obviously smarter than ordinary crows. It understood Mu Ziyi's meaning, and cleverly picked up Ceci's woolen tail cover from Mu Ziyi's hand, and jumped onto the ice layer of the lake and imitating Mu Ziyi, Yin Ceci crawled towards the center of the lake with 1 step and 3 turns. Everyone was stunned by the scene in front of them. What did they see? A bird, teach a snake, go save a baby. Unheard of. Incredible. People who were not optimistic about this bad idea at first have all changed their minds at this moment. Maybe it is really possible. Pythons can really save lives. The boa constrictor's crawling and gliding body structure dissipated the pressure of its body weight on the ice layer. Ceci was almost unimpeded on the ice layer, and soon came to the baby. The ice was wobbly, and the baby could slip into the water at any moment. Everyone's heart was in their throats, and their nerves were tense. Looking at the baby and the giant python in the middle of the lake, they didn't dare to breathe. I am worried that the python will hurt the child, and I am also afraid that the python will not save the child. At this time, Xiao stopped beside the baby, and it tilted its head to look at the baby inside, as if thinking. After a few seconds, Xiao Ya gently placed the woolen cover on the baby. Seeing Mu Ziyi in the distance, she thought to herself, it's not good. If it is placed on the surface, Ceci may only bring back the woolen sleeve, and ignore the wife's child. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 443. Sure enough, Ceci's body bypassed the swaddle, raised her long neck, and was about to open her mouth to grab the woolen wrap off the baby. I couldn't help sighing softly. If it doesn't work this time, I can only ask Xiao to try again, she thought so in her heart. But at this moment, a small round fist stretched out from the swaddle, and tightly grasped Ceci's sweater. Ah, the child is awake. She reached out. Look, the snake is starting to wrap around the child. Will the child be okay? There were endless discussions, and everyone was looking at the situation in the middle of the lake without blinking, feeling extremely nervous. The baby in swaddling clothes seems to regard the woolen jacket on his body as a toy, clenched tightly in his hands, and can't stop dancing his little fists. Sis couldn't get its woolen cover, so he began to wrap the swaddle around, and slid slowly towards the shore. Xiao was like a supervisor, following along domineeringly, walking with her neck held high, looking ostentatious. Once he finds that Ceci's speed has slowed down, Xiao will babble on Ceci's tail. After being nagged several times, Ceci was very annoyed, and his speed immediately increased, wishing he could go back to the shore immediately, so that he could ask Musa to help him put on the woolen cover as soon as possible, so as not to be abused by the little girl again. Seeing this scene, the people on the shore finally fell to the ground. The child was saved. When the boa constrictor came close, they could even hear the children's giggles. The little baby thought the python was playing games with her. Musa bent down to pick up the child from the wrapping of the boa constrictor, and handed it to Madame Fu's hands. Madame Fu's tears suddenly burst into tears. My child. She hugged the baby excitedly and kissed again and again, tears wet the baby's face. The baby is fine, with an innocent smile, except for her body temperature being a little cold. She looks very healthy. Everyone comforted Fu Chajun one after another. The child is fine, Mrs. Fu, you can rest assured. If you survive a catastrophe, you will be blessed. This child is a very lucky person. Look at how happy she is smiling. Today is such a dangerous day, but she can turn bad luck into good fortune. There will be great luck in the future. Musa said to Chujun, Madam, take the child to the hospital first. No matter what, after lying on the cold ice for so long, whether she will catch the cold, whether she is sick, whether Jiao Jingjia has done other things to the child, all these need to be checked carefully in the hospital. Fu Chajun cared more about the child's health than anyone else. She didn't even bother to deal with Jiao Jingjia, so she picked up the child and turned around to leave. The nanny and bodyguard hurriedly followed. The rest of the people watched a big drama, and now they sigh, and have everything. The police and rescue team also arrived later, and Mu Rongxian hurriedly received him. Although the child had been rescued, there was still a dead man waiting to be salvaged in the ice hole. Jiao Jingjia, who was slumped on the ground, was in a daze, as if she couldn't accept such an ending. A policeman grabbed her arm and pulled her up. She suddenly struggled desperately, this matter has nothing to do with me. You can't arrest me, I just brought a bottle of Realgar wine, I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything Musa approached her with a sneer on her lips, Jiao Jingjia, look up over there. Jiao Jingjia was stunned, and looked over blankly, and then saw an inconspicuous little camera installed on a tall tree branch. There are cameras like this everywhere around the house. What exactly did you do, and how did the child end up on the ice? I'm sure it will be clearly recorded, Musa said. Jiao Jingjia's face was ashen, she stared at Musa in a daze. At this moment, she finally understood that there was no chance of turning around. It's over. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 444. Xiao Jingjia was taken away by the police. After the matter was over, Muzi led her pet back. She was very distressed. Sisi is the most afraid of the cold, but today she wants him to come out and save people on the frozen lake. If it is not really helpless, she is really reluctant. Musa knew very well that Sisi had to come out. You must appear in public and rescue Mrs. Fu's precious daughter. Otherwise, tomorrow, everyone in Xinjiang City will know that there is a lady in the Mu family who has raised a terrible boa constrictor. Even if Sisi didn't do what happened today, it's useless. No one can predict how the rumors will turn out in the end, and Muzi made this decision in order to avoid future troubles. She must let today's guests know that not only will Sisi not hurt people, but he can save them. Otherwise, whoever wants to deal with her next time will use her boa constrictor as a gimmick. No matter what, a rich lady who raises pythons will be considered as an alternative and dark. This is also one of Xiao Jingjia's goals. Muzi can't let her succeed. After returning to Xiaoanglu, Bai Wei was also sent back. She was downstairs just now, and heard that the boa constrictor raised by her daughter swallowed Mrs. Fu's daughter. She fainted on the spot, and an aunt from the Mu family accompanied her. Now that I woke up, I was relieved to know that it was a false alarm, but my spirit was not very good, and I was terrified when I thought about it. How can there be such a bad person? Bai Wei held Muzi's hand tightly, her face turned pale with fright. The child is so young, how can she do it? Besides, Mrs. Fu treats her so well, she is ingratitude. Too bad. The pure and kind Bai Wei even has a lack of vocabulary for swearing. Jiang's mother comforted her from the side. Zizi is smart, and that child is also blessed. Both of them have saved themselves from danger, so you can relax and have a good rest. Zizi was not implicated, and the child was safe. It can be said that both of them were rescued at the same time. Bai Wei nodded, and thanked Mother Jiang. I'm useless, I'm lucky to have you helping Zizi today, thank you so much. Jiang's mother patted her hand lightly. It's too outrageous to say these words. Don't mention how Zizi helped our Jiang family back then. Even if I don't know Zizi, today's matter, I will see the injustice. Say a few words. Muzi flattened the pillow behind Bai Wei, and advised, Mom, you should lie down and rest first. After a few words of persuasion, Bai Wei lay down and closed her eyes. After Bai Wei fell asleep, Muzi and Zhang Mu left the room and went to the living room downstairs. Zhang Xinyuan and Zhuangjia are both there. Mother Zhang sat down on the sofa and said with a helpless smile, Can you tell me now, what's going on? Zhang Xinyuan said, When we were dancing, Zizi smelled Realgar wine. How could there be Realgar wine at Mu's banquet? If it was brought by the guests, what was the purpose? Who doesn't know that snakes? She was most afraid of Realgar. At that time, Zizi suspected that someone might be trying to make trouble. When she spoke, her face was tense, and there was unforgivable anger in her eyes. Zhang Xinyuan is a gentle but not weak girl. At the same time, she is very serious about issues of right and wrong. For example, when her brother had an accident, Jiang's father and Jiang's mother were willing to choose a compromise for the sake of reputation, but she was unwilling and insisted on messing things up. Only when we are clear can we give up. What Xiao Jingjia did made Zhang Xinyuan feel extremely disgusted. She continued, We are actually not sure, just in case, we locked the snake house and left Zhuangjia's dog at the door. If someone really wants to sneak in and do bad things, we can also block it. Damn, I didn't expect that she would bring the child here. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 445. Zhangji's heater is broken. Fortunately, Muzi was on guard in advance. otherwise this pot of dirty water would not be able to wash away no matter what. Even if it is cleared by luck, Mrs. Fu will definitely have grudges and anger towards Muzei when she witnesses the child sleeping in the snake house. Madame Fu cherishes her daughter the most, and Madame Fu will never forgive anyone who hurts her daughter, even if the other party is framed by design. Mother Zhang sighed deeply after hearing this, and asked, that Jiao Jingjia, when she was a prosecutor, she looked a bit smart, why is she so confused now? Zizi just stole her limelight once, why did she do that, this? Mother Zhang didn't understand the grievances between Muzei and Jiao Jingjia, she only knew that Zhang Huan's case had made Jiao Jingjia ashamed. It's not just for revenge. Muzei smiled lightly, and said, she probably took such a risk to make Mrs. Fu accept her love. Did you see that bottle of Realgar wine? She wanted to save the child, became Mrs. Fu's benefactor and was afraid of pythons, so he brought Realgar wine with him to strengthen his courage. Snakes are very sensitive to the smell of Realgar, and the ethanol in alcohol can enhance the volatilization of Realgar. Realgar wine can ward off poisonous snakes. Jiao Jingjia obviously knows this too. Then the smell of Realgar wine you smell is from Jiao Jingjia, Zhuangjia asked interjectedly. Muzei shook her head lightly, I saw a male servant at the time, and thought it was weird. Now that I think about it, that male servant should have been bought by Jiao Jingjia. His task was to steal the baby and put it in the snake house, but he was scared, so I smeared Realgar wine on my body in advance. As she spoke, she couldn't help smiling, with a girlish playfulness, my brother forced me to raise the snake. I was also very scared when I first raised it, so I bought Realgar wine and I am very familiar with the smell. Jiang's mother was a little puzzled, in this case, why did he run away with the child? Conscience found out. Zhuangjia laughed out loud, and said, Auntie, this is all thanks to my Maxis. Zhuangjia proudly rubbed the hunting dog lying on the ground beside him, with my family Maxi guarding him, he wants to enter the house, but there is no door. As soon as the male servant arrived at the small Western-style building, the hound inside kept barking and rushed forward to bite fiercely. The male servant turned around and ran away in fright. He knew that this matter could not be done today, so he was in a hurry to put the child back, but according to the agreement, Jiao Jingjia had already brought the guests over, so he could only take a shortcut to the frozen lake, but the ice broke and he died. It can be said that it was retribution. The body of the male servant was fished ashore from the bottom of the lake covered with broken ice by the rescue team. The corpse lay flat on the bank wetly, its skin was pale and bruised, with a thin layer of ice on its body, its expression was ferocious, and it looked very painful. Muzei stood not far away and watched quietly, somehow, he thought of Suzhi. After Suzhi died, Muzei sent people to salvage the body, but there were too many undercurrents in the river, and the salvage fleet was busy all night in the waters of the Qingjiang River, but found nothing. The corpse may have been washed downstream, and the river has complicated branches. The longer the time, the more difficult it is to find the corpse. Finally he had to give up. Seeing this corpse now, Muzei couldn't help thinking, what would Suzhi look like in the water now? Police took pictures near the scene before placing the body in a body bag. A police officer came over and said politely to Muzei, Mr. Mu, I need to ask you about the situation today, can I? Okay. Muzei made a gesture of invitation, this way please. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 446. As Mu Rongxian sent the last guest away, the smile on his face disappeared instantly, and he collapsed in a gloomy manner. He walked back and saw the police coming in and out of the house, feeling very angry. It's a bad luck to have Qiao Jingjia's life ruined during a good New Year's banquet. Just as he was about to curse a few words to vent his anger, he raised his eyes and saw a group of people walking in front. It was Mu Ziyi who sent Zhang Mu, Zhang Xinyuan, and others away. Madame Zhang won't sit down any longer. Mu Rongxian quickly put up a friendly smile and said in a friendly way, "You were surprised by the poor reception today." Mother Zhang waved her hand politely, "It's okay, fortunately it was a false alarm, but you have to work hard to deal with the aftermath, so we won't bother you anymore, you can be busy." Mu Ziyi said, "Brother, I'll take Aunt Zhang out." Mu Rongxian nodded, "Go." Seeing their leaving figures, Mu Rongxian suddenly remembered something. Once, Mu Ziyi was pushed into the artificial lake by Mu Ling, and almost had an accident. He thought of Wei and Mu that the butler had mentioned again, and couldn't help but mutter in his heart, "There's never been an accident in that lake before, what's going on recently? It's really evil. Otherwise, invite a Taoist priest to come back and take a look." Mu Rongxian thought about it, and no longer wanted to cut down the tree directly, but felt that since he wanted to fix the feng shui at home, he might as well invite a mage to come back and make adjustments. Mu Ziyi sent Zhang Mu, Zhang Xinyuan, and Zhuang Jia away, and returned to Xiaoanglu. She went upstairs to take a look at Bai Wei, and found that she was still sleeping, so she exited lightly and came to the living room on the first floor. Sisi lay stretched out on the sofa, motionless, very listless. Mu Ziyi dragged it to the wooden floor next to the sofa, wiped it all over her body with a warm and slightly damp towel, and then applied special protective oil on it, spreading it evenly. "Are you concerned?" Mu Ziyi said while wiping, "Isn't it just a woolen sleeve? Why are you so obsessed?" Mrs. Fu left in a hurry, and the sweater was still in the baby's hand, so Sisi was depressed. Mu Ziyi wanted to make it up, but she didn't have Bai Wei's skills. She can only comfort her pet with words, "When mom wakes up, let her make you another one." Bang, bang. Just as he was talking, there was a knock on the door. Mu Ziyi looked over and saw Mu Zhenning standing by the half-closed door, knocking lightly on the door. The police came to find out the situation, and wanted to use the surveillance video from the cameras at the entrance of Xiaoanglu. Mu Zhenning said with a blank expression. "Oh, wait a minute." Mu Ziyi stood up, picked up her cell phone and made a call. Mu Zhenning heard her say, "Send me those surveillance videos at the door, I want today's." No, nothing happened to me, it's just that mom fainted from fright, it's not serious, I'm resting now, when are you coming back?" She talked for a while, then looked up at Mu Zhenning, and said calmly, "It will be sent to your mobile phone in 2 minutes." Mu Zhenning stared at her coldly, "Did you call Mu Rongqian?" Mu Ziyi didn't look at him, she bowed her head to wait on her snake, and answered with an Mu Zhenning remained silent for a while, and asked, "Why do you want to install a camera there? I usually go in and out, and I don't have the habit of locking the door." "It's safer to install a camera," Mu Ziyi replied, "in case something happens, it's better to have a witness." She seemed to be talking in a normal way, but Mu Zhenning didn't know why, but felt panicked. He left with a sullen face, recalling what happened today, his heart seemed to be passing through the wind, and it was messy. He has often been like this recently, when he thinks of something, he suddenly gets upset for some reason. Mu Zhenning took out a pack of cigarettes from his pocket, took out one and lit it. At this time, Mu Rongqian called, and there was nothing good to say at the beginning. "Third brother, don't come to my sister for nothing in the future. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again." Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 447. Mu Zhenning sneered when he heard the words, "She is also my sister, why can't I find her?" "Can it be the same?" Mu Rongqian said casually, "Isn't it a mother after all? Lonely men and widows always get together, making people see that it's inappropriate." The smile on Mu Zhenning's face was even colder. I think you're the only one who thinks it's inappropriate. Murong Cheng, where else have you installed surveillance cameras? Who did you secretly film? My mother's death was caused by you. Don't talk nonsense. Mrs. Mu got into a car accident to avoid the paparazzi. What does it have to do with me? Murong Cheng laughed softly. Speaking of which, third brother has to thank me. Back then, to get the paparazzi out, I spent a lot of effort to buy the photos in the website. Mu Zening thought of the photo Murong Cheng used to threaten him. His face turned livid, and his breathing was heavy. Murong Cheng, even if I don't tell you about the matter between you and Mu Zi, someone will find out one day. Take care of yourself. Murong Cheng's voice was lazy and frivolous. Don't bother third brother. The phone hangs up. Mu Zening was full of anger. He looked up at the inconspicuous gray-black camera on the treetops, and thought about the purpose of Murong Cheng's installation of surveillance. Is it to prevent theft, or to capture the privacy of Mu's family? My heart is even more unhappy. At this time, the surveillance video was sent to his mobile phone. Mu Zening pressed the play button, and clearly saw a domestic servant appearing on the screen. The male servant was holding the sleeping baby in his arms, trying to enter the small building, but the moment he opened the door, a black hound rushed out, and another big black bird frantically scratched and nagged at the male servant's head. The male servant fled in panic, heading straight for the artificial lake. Everything was very close to Mu Zi's guess. Frankly speaking, Mu Zening was really shocked when this happened today. It was really because Xiao Jingjia was always gentle and considerate in front of him, even weak, but it was such a woman who devised a scheme that even he, as a man, felt terrified of. Make arrangements in advance, first by the male servant, and then use Madame Fu's trust to subtly draw everyone's attention to the boa constrictor. Once it is done, Madame Fu will hate the Mu family regardless of whether the child has an accident or not. Xiao Jingjia's layout is exquisite, and it's hard to find any flaws, but after all, she lacked a bit of luck. Otherwise, she wouldn't be easily resolved by Mu Zi, and she would return it to her body in the same way. Xiao Jingjia's stench would be difficult to wash off, and Mu's family would be wiped clean. Xiao Jingjia was not the only one who surprised him today. Mu Zi surprised him even more. Mu Ling was right. Mu Zi must not be Mu Zi, otherwise, with Mu Zi's character and ability, it is impossible to escape easily. But who is she? Mu Zening thought about this. His breathing became more and more difficult. He took a deep breath of cigarettes, and recalled many past events. He remembered that once he saw Zhang Ci sending Mu Zi home. He also remembered that once he mistook Mu Zi for Su Zi. They are clearly two different people, but they are so similar for some reason. Their demeanor and posture always make him feel delusional in a trance. Could it be her? Mu Zening exhaled thick smoke, and his face was covered with haze in the smog. He thought to himself, it can't be her. If it was Su Zi, why didn't she come back to me? Doesn't she know that I am her husband, and I am the one she can rely on? If it was Su Zi, she shouldn't be messing with Murong Cheng. Mu Zening turned his head, looked at the small Western-style building behind him, looked at it quietly for a long time, then turned and left. Who exactly is Mu Zi? He will find out one day. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 448. In the quiet afternoon, Mu Zi kept comforting Ceci, but Ceci was always depressed. She hugged Ceci and sat on the sofa watching TV. In order to make Ceci happy, she specially picked a program from the animal world, which was about the life of pythons in the tropical rainforest. I don't know if Ceci can understand it. Anyway, Xiao was quite focused. Later, the light in the living room gradually dimmed, and a meandering orange-red light came in, which was warm and magnificent. It's time for dinner. Mu Zi thought of Bai Wei, who was resting upstairs. Bai Wei was quite frightened today, Although she was fine, but I still hoped that Bai Wei could rest more. She puts a C down and went to the kitchen to prepare dinner. In fact, Mu's family has a big kitchen, but the small mansion and the big villa have been getting along with each other, so I doesn't want to go there. What should I do? There is nothing to think about, anyway, she will cook, there is only one thing, big bibimbap. When I was washing rice and cooking in the kitchen, Bai Wei went downstairs to the kitchen and smiled when she saw I. Zizi grows up and can cook, Bai Wei laughed. I felt ashamed, her skill was really not called know how to cook in front of Bai Wei. It was probably because her daughter was cooking for the first time, which was very meaningful. Bai Wei didn't stop her, she just helped out in the kitchen, washing vegetables, and so on. When I was ready, Bai Wei added a few side dishes, and the dinner was considered complete. I don't know if your brother will come back tonight, or the food left over will be wasted at the dinner table, Bai Wei said. The family didn't have the habit of eating overnight meals, so Musa made a big bibimbap, and there was still a lot left. I said, brother said he would come back at night. Bai Wei listened and nodded, it's time to come back. Such a big incident happened at home, so I should come back to help with the aftermath, or else his eldest brother and third brother may have some ideas in his mind. I ate with her head depressed, but didn't reply. I thought to myself, those two brothers have been dissatisfied with Cheng for not a day or two, more of this is not much, less of this is quite a lot. Cheng did come back at night, but he came back too late, after 10 o'clock at night. Bai Wei had already fallen asleep by this time. I was lying on the bed reading a book, when she saw him coming in suddenly, even though she was prepared, she was still startled. Have you eaten yet? There is bibimbap in the kitchen. While talking, I quickly got out of bed and locked the door behind her, in case Bai Wei suddenly appeared again like last time. Cheng took off his coat and threw it on the chair, and directly hugged I to the bed, hugged him in his arms and asked, what did Muzenning say to you today? I felt speechless when he asked about this as soon as he came back. What else can I say? The police came to investigate the situation at home, and he asked me for surveillance video. Would you like to send a servant to pass the message if you want to make a video? Do you have to come here in person? Cheng challenged. He always felt that Muzenning had some kind of purpose when he saw I. I gave him a cold look, and said angrily, you want to kill again? Go ahead, I won't stop you. Cheng smiled, pinched her nose, stimulus method. Just like you, do you still need me to provoke you? I slapped his hand away, a little unhappy. I knew to ask this as soon as I came back, and I didn't care what happened to Mom. Zizi, don't be angry. Cheng said, hugging her and kissing her hard, his rough fingertips slowly rubbing along the graceful waist, greedily lingering upwards. I held down his wicked hand, and said seriously, no, I've already showered, and I don't want to bathe again. I can't help it. He leaned on her and breathed heavily, I can't stand it when I see you talking to him. In the past, I would think that he was crazy, but now, I can't help but feel soft-hearted. It's not unreasonable for Cheng to mind Muzenning. As long as she was soft-hearted, she hesitated when she resisted, and as soon as she hesitated, Cheng succeeded. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 449. No matter how many times this kind of thing happened, I couldn't get used to it. Maybe it's because I accepted Cheng psychologically, so I don't feel as disgusted as before, but, there is still a little disgusting. Not just hands. I will also get some. Muzi sighed silently, comforting herself. Back then when the corpse rotted like that, he could still kiss him, so I shouldn't despise him. If you can bear it, just bear it. That thing is actually some water and protein. Think about it. Muzi got up, ready to take a bath again. Murongcheng put his arms around her waist from behind, pulled her back to the bed, and took out a few wet tissues to help her clean. Her waist is soft, and her skin is as smooth and delicate as white jade, with a faint pearly luster, and when touched by hands, it is as smooth as tender tofu. Murongcheng rubbed it, and the fire started up again in his body. He felt that Muzi was a goblin. Even if he didn't do anything, he could still fascinate him into a daze. Here, Muzi frowned and said, "No. I still feel sticky, I have to take a shower, or I'll be uncomfortable all night." "I'll go later." He kissed her lips, feeling sentimental. "I'm leaving soon, lie down with me for a while." Muzi was stunned, then lay down again. "Why are you so busy? The new year has just passed, and there are many things to do." Murongcheng didn't elaborate. He put his arms around Muzi and adjusted a comfortable posture, then closed his eyes. Muzi didn't ask any more questions, and fell asleep leaning on his chest. When he woke up in the middle of the night, Murongcheng was no longer by his side, and Muzi sat on the bed feeling a little lost for some reason. "I don't know how long this sneaky day will last." She didn't want to think about it, so she got up and went to the bathroom to take a shower, only to find that the bathtub had already been filled with water, and the towels and pajamas were neatly put aside. Muzi stretched out her hand to test the temperature of the water. It was just right. Of course she knew who prepared these for her, and she couldn't help but feel a little erratic. Thinking of Murongcheng, I would feel particularly entangled in my heart. In fact, Murongcheng doesn't fit her concept of choosing a spouse. The ideal partner is a man who is gentle, open-minded, and has a sense of justice. And what about Murongcheng? Almost everything is reversed, cruel and unreasonable. Not only is she not open-minded, she is also extremely stingy. When she has a meal with the opposite sex, she can even care about it for a long time. As for the sense of justice, this guy knows the law and breaks the law. Moral line. But unfortunately. But he loves her. However, she was moved by his love. Love is something that doesn't make sense. If the person you love does something you cannot tolerate, you will be sad and painful, but you will not stop loving him immediately because of this. Muzi soaked her body in warm water, the thick black hair loosened softly, and the moist water vapor steamed up, soothing every cell in her body. She closed her eyes and thought to herself, following Murongcheng, she is destined to not live a peaceful life, but what can she do? Between her and him, if he hadn't bowed his head, then only she would compromise. The next day, the news reported that the python rescued people. It didn't make headlines, but it took up quite a bit of space. In the photo, Sto came back with a baby, and Xiaoya was also lucky enough to be in the shot. The rest of the people could only see the figure, with a mosaic on the face. From the point of view, it should be taken by the guests who attended the banquet that day with their mobile phones. Muzi curled her lips into a smile, and felt that it was good to be spread by the news. At least in the future, people in Xinjiang City would think that Mu's family had raised a boa constrictor with spirituality. Cici's existence would no longer be a stain on her. Became a bright spot. She read the news carefully again. The reporter who wrote this report was very sophisticated and did not reveal the embarrassing content of the famous family. She only said that a woman surnamed Xiao deliberately kidnapped the baby, but the baby was rescued by a python. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 450. The public probably thought it was an ordinary kidnapping case, and their attention was attracted by the rescue python, and the topic was probably related to it. Not only did Sis get the limelight, but he also became a fig leaf in a sense. Only those who attended the banquet that day would know the inside story. For example, Mrs. Fu mistrusted the poisonous scorpion assistant, and for example, her assistant and her husband seemed to have an improper relationship. These scandals were all suppressed to avoid affecting the reputation of the governor's secretary and Mrs. Fu. It's a pity that Jiao Jingjia didn't lose face in front of the public, but thinking about Jiao Jingjia's current situation, it should be enough for her to suffer. At this time, Jiao Jingjia was staying in the detention center, waiting to be released. She is very clear that once the procedure is over, what awaits her will be a prison sentence. But how could she go to jail? Imprisonment will leave a criminal record. Even if she is released from prison in the future, she will have no future. Uncle Zhang, I beg you. Please help me and tell Dad again. Since I have done a lot for him, let him help me, Jiao Jingjia begged in pain. In front of her, sat a middle-aged man wearing gold-rimmed glasses, who was the mayor's housekeeper. Miss Jiao, if it's something else, it doesn't matter if the mayor helps you, but you have committed a crime this time and provoked the secretary of the governor. It's too embarrassing for the mayor. Jiao Jingjia said anxiously, he can't leave me alone. I've helped him so much. The housekeeper adjusted his glasses, calmly said, you can't say that, Ms. Jiao, although you have done a lot for the mayor has not treated you badly, has he? Your judicial examination time is poor 2 points, who helped you pass? You resigned from the procuratorate, who helped you meet Mrs. Fu? Ms. Jiao, you have to know what to do. I'm his daughter, he can't really let me go to jail. Jiao Jingjia was about to cry, Uncle Zhang, I can't go to jail. The mayor's daughter goes to jail, and it's not good for Dad's reputation. The housekeeper's face turned cold, Miss Jiao, please be careful. Mayor Jiao only recognizes you as a goddaughter. Are you related by blood? Before the paternity test, you can't say those words verbally 10,000 times. I can't count. I came here today to tell you, don't talk nonsense. If the mayor is implicated in this matter, what will happen? I think Miss Jiao should understand. Uncle Zhang, Jiao Jingjia panicked, tears streaming down her face, I beg you, Uncle Zhang. I will do this, in fact, to help Dad better in the future. Then the butler got up, obviously didn't want to listen anymore, and said indifferently, Miss Jiao, don't beg me anymore, I see you, let's ask for more blessings. No. No, Uncle Zhang. Uncle Zhang, I beg you. No matter how Jiao Jingjia called, the housekeeper still left the visiting room. Jiao Jingjia sat slumped, with a dull expression. Is this really the end for her? Prison, undergo reform and be imprisoned for many years, to be able to see the light of day again. Do not. Her life shouldn't be like this. She can't admit defeat. Now, there is one more person, only that person can help her. Muzi was surprised when she received Zhang Xi's call. Jiao Jingjia wants to see me, Muzi asked strangely, what the hell is she trying to do? Zhang Xi has always paid close attention to Jiao Jingjia, so as soon as Jiao Jingjia applied, she received the news. She looked for the mayor's father, but he ignored her and only sent the housekeeper here. Zhang Xi said, I think Jiao Jingjia must be desperate. Muzi thought for a while and said, let's hang her out for a few days.